My name is Hailey Gates. I am here directing the Miu Miu tale number 17, Shako Mako. I wanted to write this story, initially actually I wanted to make a documentary about the subject. So I had done some research on role players and these fake Iraqi villages that have been built on U.S. Military bases. And so I had done a lot of research, but I also thought maybe I would never get clearance to shoot in those villages by the government. So I thought it would be a really interesting setting for a film, and particularly since they're very kind of male environments, to focus on a woman in that circumstance and her navigating the strangeness of being in a place that at once makes her feel like she's somewhere else, but then also makes her feel like she's not in the right place. I became really obsessed with stories of people acting, but in real life, and how that affects the psyche and your kind of emotional state, and what is it like to do this kind of work where you're pretending to be someone else and it's not being recorded, and it's for the benefit of the people around you. My approach is always to start, I like to start with interviews, because most of the narrative stuff that I've done has been kind of based around an event, whether it's a historical event or like family history. You know, I do like really extensive, tedious interviews with members of my family, which doesn't always go so well. So in this case, I started interviewing a lot of role players. So I like to work from interviews, and then I don't know, it's like, it's a very strange experience writing, because sometimes you look back at it and you're like, who wrote this? Like you can't recognize yourself in it, and then once you see everything come together, you're like, oh, that's what I did then. Well, I think for me it's kind of twofold, because I've been traveling a lot over the past 3 years to places that I've never been before, and so figuring out how to prepare in the right way has been a focus of mine. But I think this kind of exercise, these military exercises, were actually innovated by a TV producer. And I grew up in Los Angeles, and so these kind of constructed worlds have always been in and out of my life, and I just found it so interesting that we were sending our soldiers out to Iraq and training them in a kind of Hollywood-esque facility. I think the Hollywood interpretation of what Iraq looks like and feels like was something I was very interested in. I think for me, Miu Miu has always represented a kind of irreverence. Alia is a friend of mine, but someone that I've been wanting to work with for a really long time. And I actually wrote this for her. She's half Iraqi, and she's someone that I really admire. I think is an incredible actress, and I'm so lucky to have her here. But I think for me, it would be hard to make this without her, I think.